I have a leaf here as a reference. I don't know. I think I personally think it's a good idea to get a leaf reference for the kids, but for this exercise, but they're young, so we can also just keep it simple. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break this shape down to make it simple. So if I want to draw this leaf, I'm going to go like this. This is sometimes hard for me to oversimplify it, but basically like this, and then this. So this is a maple leaf. And then this. And this one's like kind of crinkly and stuff, so let's see if we can break this down. So for a maple leaf, we got, this is a triangle, this is a triangle, and then you've got another triangle over here. So it's 1, 2, 3 triangles, and then this back here, it sort of looks like, if you connect it to this, it sort of looks like a heart, okay? So let's just say that I wanted to break the, well, I mean, I guess I do want to break it down for kids. So I would draw a heart like this, okay? So that's your first shape. And then off the heart, draw 1, 2 triangles, and then maybe make this triangle a little bit longer. And then you have just the stem on the back there. Okay, so again, to make it simple, this, make this heart, okay? And you have a triangle coming off that part of the heart, and a triangle coming off this part of the heart. That's just a simple basic maple leaf, okay? And then the stem, it starts off thinner, and then it's got this sort of thicker connecting part on the back there. If we want to make it look more like a leaf, the more realistic you want, you're going to have to look at the reference a little bit closer, but as you can see, it kind of, or as I'm showing here, kind of has these additional shapes. And the one that I have is also not, it's not flat, okay? So we've got that, and then if you want the kids to have some veins, so you can talk a little bit about that for the science angle, then can do that. Or of course, if it's just because you want the leaves to have, that'd be a little bit more interesting to look at. But it looks to me like there's 3 main, I'll call them arteries, I guess, that travel along the triangles, so they end up in those triangles. So I'm going to go ahead and erase my heart here. Try not to erase that portion. And then this goes like this, right? So, and they're not, I mean, so what I'm calling arteries, I don't know plant anatomy, so forgive me if I'm incorrect, but I'm obviously not trying to teach the kids, teach anyone plant anatomy. I'm just trying to help you guys and help the kids whenever I can get an opportunity to do it myself. Now, I am, of course, also using this as an opportunity to do a study on my own. This maple leaf has a hole in it, where it sort of looks like maybe something took a bite out of it. And I'm going to keep that in because I think that looks neat. Then there is this. There's like a rough texture to the leaf that's just gonna, I mean, it's gonna end up taking too much time because we're not trying to have them get into art school. We're just trying to help them make something that looks fall related. Okay, so here we go. Got this reference leaf back here, sorry. And this is just a standard number 2. Well, I guess this is actually an HB pencil, so I apologize if want to have the exact same things as me, but it isn't all that important. All right, and just to make it okay. So there's the leaf. I mean, I guess I'll draw a stem in here. I'm gonna look at this one that I have. I can't tell if anybody can see it or not, but look at this one, and I'm gonna adjust the veins underneath are way more pronounced. Okay, so you can't see that stem like that from the angle that the leaf has been drawn in, really, but again, unless you're a leaf expert, this is probably not going to affect the overall outcome. All right, now, because we're doing ink and wash, I'm going to go ahead and ink this. And all the kids are trying to do here is the basic idea is that they're tracing the pencil work that they did, but it isn't necessarily as simple as that. But we're not going to talk about line weight or any of that stuff because I don't know. I feel like that is probably going to be dependent on who's teaching the lesson and also what grade level the kids are in. But just to keep it simple for anybody who's interested, line weight is just how thick a line is, and the thicker the line is, it has a different effect. I mean, you can just see it as soon as you mark it down. Okay, and they don't have to do the lines like. They don't need to be. They really shouldn't be straight, but you kind of want to follow the contours of the leaf if you can. And then we're just going for an impression here. It's not meant to be photorealistic or anything, because, you know, some of these are going to be kindergartners. And although I'm sure every once in a while you're going to have one of those kids who's either just been drawing a ton at home or has some natural knack for it show up. I would imagine that for the most part that's just not going to be the case. They're just not going to be paying attention or whatever. Okay, so now we have this. I'm going to take this leaf now and then I'm going to color it. The leaf that I have here isn't super. I like the colors of this leaf, so I think I'm going to maybe try to imitate some of that here, but I think mostly what I want to do is make it a bit more vibrant than this. And I'm going to try to use less water this time. I'm going to make sure everything's still in the frame. It is. Okay, great. And I'm just using watercolor for this because it's just faster. Now, you don't have to use watercolor. You can use markers, you can use crayons, or whatever's available. I'm going to start with, I have like a really like vibrant, bright green color. I'm just gonna start with that kind of over in this area. And as before, with the pumpkin that I did, the ink for this is very, it's not, it bleeds, like, so it's not water fast. But I'm not overly concerned with making sure it doesn't, the ink that making sure that the ink doesn't run. That's not a huge problem for me. Okay, so this leaf also is not sitting 100% on the ground, and then I'm gonna have to kind of fake a shadow a bit. Or, I mean, I guess I don't have to fake it. You don't have to do anything. This is one of the things about art that I want to make sure that I impress on the kids, is like, you know, just because somebody else did it a certain way, that doesn't mean that you need to do it that way in order to be successful. I'm gonna see how this red might be too dark, but that might work. Okay, so I'm gonna get a little bit of that in there. And then I want these to, I want them to blend together. So this red and the green here coming together a bit. And then try this red. This might be the better option, but I think it's, yeah. That red might be too cool, isn't it? None of this is make it or break it type stuff here, but get some brown in here for the stem. Darken this shadow up a bit where it's under the leaf, like so. And when it's closest to the leaf, that's where you want the shadow to be the darkest. And that is something that can be, you can accomplish that with the ink, or you can accomplish that with the watercolor. There's probably too much water on this brush, so I'm going to get a smaller brush to try to get a little bit more pigment. This one just, it doesn't look super it doesn't look like it's a super cool red when it's yeah, there we go, that's a much more vibrant red. That the other red that I was using, I didn't like it as much because it was a cooler color than I wanted. All right, and I still want some of the green to remain and some of the red or the yellow to remain as well. And this is, once again, this is on watercolor paper. It's not on copy paper. And this isn't expensive watercolor paper. This is like the cheaper 90-pound type stuff that, so that's, you know, I believe what is in the ArtSmart cabinet. So hopefully, if the teachers are feeling brave, they'll have access to it. And I'll try and get this little bit orange in here. Don't want it to be straight up just red everywhere. All right, I back up a little bit. The paper, as you can see, well, maybe you can't see. The paper's buckling. That's okay. That's what happens when the paper is not super heavy weight. What that means is just the paper's measured by how much it weighs when they've finished I guess a ream of it on the press, and so whenever they take it off the press, they weigh it, and that's how they weigh how they classify the paper's weight. Probably not something everybody needs to know or needs to care about. Okay, so this leaf, all I'm gonna do, I mean, I don't really need to do this, but I'm going to because I'm already here. I'm gonna start adding some brown in here just to give it a little bit more make it a little bit more visually interesting. And but yeah, I mean this is pretty much it. So it's orange here like this. I think I have let me see if I have that I have a cool green. That's purple. Yeah. So I have a cool green color here, and you know, it's up to you how you have the kids finish this off, but you know, I'm just gonna do like a greenish wash here, and then I'll call it. But yeah, I mean, as I said, or as I was showing earlier, you know, all it really is a heart with 2 extra triangles coming off, and then you know, you do your little, draw your little stem there, and it's all good to go. And then after that, you know, yes, you can do as much or as little detail as you really want, and you don't have to do the line art. It's just that I know if you think about how kids often see art, initially it's like in coloring books, so they're looking at somebody else's line art and then they're just coloring it in, and then this way, you know, they can see, oh wow, you know, like I can actually make my own things to color. And you know, another option for how to do this background that a kid could do, you could make it a blue color, so it looks like this is floating on some water, or could be a gray color, so it looks like it's, you know, like on the pavement, like at the outside at recess or whatever. You could, I mean, there's limitless possibilities because it's theirs, it's no one else's. So yeah. And then as you like, I don't want to talk too much about the shadow stuff, but yeah, all right, I'm gonna stand up and take a look at this and see if it's good enough for government work. And yeah, I think so. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. I think what I'll end up doing is, since I did this one in watercolor, I'll probably do another one where I do the ink and wash, or I'll do I'll do the line art and then use crayons on top of it, just so you can see the difference. And part of the reason I want to show the difference is so that whenever you're showing this to the kids, you don't show them, like, all right, here's what we're doing, and then it's this with watercolor, and then when they start working with crayons, and it's not going to look like this. And I don't mean that as in better or worse. I just mean it will not look the same, and that could be frustrating for them. So this way, if you show them this and we're doing it with watercolor, and it's still, it's still going to look different because each kid's going to approach it differently, and they should. But if a kid approaches or enters into the project thinking that they're going to be achieving a result like this, but then they start working with crayons, well, their expectations are going to be off, and that could be really disappointing for some kids because, they might have a picture in their mind that one of the reasons they're incapable of achieving what's in their head is because of the materials that they have. Not that and I don't mean that, they have to have the best materials, right? Like, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm just saying that if you want to paint something that looks like it's done with watercolor, but all you have is crayons and copy paper, then your end result it's just not going to look the same. So you're probably going to be disappointed, and that could be disheartening for some kids that are interested in art, and it just doesn't have to be, is my whole point here. So anyway, I'll probably do one more example with the crayons, yeah, all right, thanks a lot.